Good morning, afternoon, evening. I want to start by asking you a question when you think about the word trust. What comes to mind? Maybe it's a warm feeling, a connection, or even a sense of relief. But trust isn't just a feeling, it's a set of actions, choices, and practices. And here's the thing, trust doesn't happen by accident. It's built brick by brick through consistent and intentional behaviors. Today, I want to walk you through what I call the 7 pillars of trust, using the acronym BRAVING. Let's begin. Let me ask you something when you think of trust. Do you see it as something you have or something you do? Most of us are taught to think about trust as a noun and object we give or take away, something we either possess or lose. But trust is not a static thing. Trust is a verb. What does that mean? It means trust isn't just about what we feel, it's about what we do. It's built through action, not intention. Think about the relationships in your life, whether it's with a partner, a friend, a colleague, or even yourself. Trust doesn't magically appear. It's earned and reinforced through consistent behaviors over time. Trust as a verb looks like showing up when you say you will. It looks like being honest, even when it's uncomfortable. It looks like keeping a secret when someone shares something vulnerable. It looks like doing the small things day after day that tell the people in your life, I'm here, I'm reliable, and I mean what I say. And here's the thing about trust. It's fragile. It takes time to build, but it can be broken in an instant. A single action, a missed commitment, a betrayed confidence, a moment of dishonesty can shatter what took years to create. That's why trust requires constant nurturing. It's not something you achieve once and then forget about. It's something you work on every single day. One of the most powerful ways we do trust is by aligning our words with our actions. We've all experienced the sting of someone saying one thing and doing another. Maybe it was a friend who promised to be there for you but wasn't. Or a coworker who assured you they had your back but let you down. When our actions don't match our words, trust erodes. On the flip side, when someone's actions consistently reflect their words, trust grows. It's in the small, ordinary moments, remembering an important date, following through on a promise, showing up on time, listening without interrupting, that trust is built. Now let's flip the lens for a moment. Trust isn't just about what we expect from others, it's also about what we bring to the table. Are you showing up in ways that make you trustworthy? Are you keeping the commitments you make, both to others and to yourself? Here's an important truth. Trust is a two-way street. We often focus on how others need to earn our trust, but how often do we ask ourselves if we're earning theirs? If trust is a verb, then it's our responsibility to take action, to show through our behavior that we are reliable, honest, and worthy of trust. And let's not forget that trust isn't just external, it's internal too. Trusting yourself is just as important as trusting others. Do you honor the commitments you make to yourself? Do you follow through on your own goals and intentions? Building self-trust is foundational because it affects every other relationship in your life. Finally, let me leave you with this. Trust isn't about perfection. None of us get it right all the time. What matters is that when we stumble and we take accountability, we make amends, and we commit to doing better. Trust is built in the moments when we choose to take responsibility and repair what's been broken. So the next time you think about trust, don't just see it as something you give or receive. See it as something you do, something you live, because trust isn't a thing, it's an action. And when you choose to live in alignment with trust day after day, moment by moment, you create stronger relationships, deeper connections, and a more authentic life. Trust is a verb. Let's start practicing IT. Let's talk about one of the most essential and often overlooked pillars of trust, the vault. When we talk about trust, people often think of reliability, honesty, or integrity, and while those are crucial, the vault is what holds it all together. Without it, trust crumbles. So what does the vault mean? Picture this when someone shares something with you, whether it's a personal story, a struggle, or even a piece of good news. They're placing that information in a vault. They're entrusting you to keep it safe, secure, and away from prying eyes. The vault is where confidentiality lies. It's the promise that what's shared with you in confidence will stay there. It's also the understanding that if it's not your story to share, you don't share it. Period. Now, let's get real. Breaches of the vault happen all the time. Gossip is the most common culprit. Maybe it starts with something small, like sharing a detail you think is harmless. Did you hear what so-and-so is going through? Or, can you believe they're dealing with this? You might even frame it as concern. I just want to make sure they're okay. But here's the thing, if it's not your story to tell, it doesn't belong outside the vault. When we gossip, even unintentionally, we break trust. And not just with the person whose story we shared. Think about it. If someone hears you sharing someone else's private information, what's to stop them from wondering, what would they say about me behind my back? Gossip isn't just a breach of confidentiality, it's a sign that the vault isn't secure. The vault also means being mindful of what you share about yourself. Trust doesn't mean oversharing or expecting others to hold everything you're going through. It's about balance, sharing enough to foster connection while respecting boundaries, both yours and theirs. Let me give you an example. Have you ever been in a conversation where someone starts sharing another person's private struggles and you feel a pang of discomfort? That's your inner compass telling you something's off. It's recognizing that the vault has been breached. Here's the hard truth: when we share what isn't ours to share, we not only damage relationships, we damage our own credibility. Because trust isn't just about being vulnerable, it's about being trustworthy. But the vault isn't just about avoiding gossip or keeping secrets. It's also about how we handle sensitive information. When someone shares something difficult, how do we respond? Do we jump to judgment or offer unsolicited advice? Or do we hold space, listen, and honor their trust in us? Being the keeper of the vault means more than just keeping quiet. It means respecting the weight of what's been shared and showing up with empathy and care. It's recognizing that the act of sharing is an act of courage and responding with kindness and respect. Let's talk about what the vault isn't. The vault doesn't mean keeping silent about something that's harmful or dangerous. If someone shares something that puts them or others at risk, keeping it in the vault isn't the right thing to do. Trust doesn't mean ignoring red flags. It means balancing confidentiality with care and responsibility. But in most situations, the vault is non-negotiable. It's a cornerstone of trust, because without it, people can't feel safe being vulnerable. Vulnerability thrives in an environment where people know their stories are respected and protected. And let's not forget, the vault goes both ways. To trust someone else, you need to feel confident that they respect the vault too. If you're in a relationship, personal or professional, where the vault isn't secure, it's time to set boundaries or have an honest conversation. Here's a takeaway for you: the vault isn't just about others, it's about you too. Are you the kind of person who keeps the vault locked tight? Are you mindful of how you speak about others, even in casual conversations? And are you cultivating relationships with people who respect the vault as much as you do? At the end of the day, trust without the vault isn't trust at all. It's an illusion, a shaky foundation that can crumble at any moment. But when the vault is strong, when we protect what's shared with us and honor the courage it takes to be vulnerable, we create a foundation for relationships that can weather any storm. The vault is non-negotiable. Let's commit to keeping it locked. Together. When we hear the word generosity, many of us immediately think about giving, whether it's time, resources, or support. And while that's certainly part of it, there's a deeper and more profound way generosity shows up, especially when it comes to trust and relationships. Generosity isn't just about what we give, it's about how we choose to see others. It's the practice of offering the most compassionate and expansive interpretation of someone's words, actions, and intentions. And it's assuming the best about others, even when it would be easier or more tempting to assume the worst. Let's unpack that. Imagine this: you send a text to a close friend and hours go by with no response. Your first instinct might be frustration or even hurt. Why aren't they responding? You wonder. Are they ignoring me? Did I do something wrong? This is where generosity comes in. Instead of jumping to conclusions, generosity asks us to pause and consider the kindest possible explanation. Maybe your friend is overwhelmed with work, dealing with a personal issue, or simply hasn't seen the message yet. Generosity allows us to step back and extend grace. But why does this matter so much in relationships? Because how we interpret someone's behavior shapes the way we interact with them. If we assume negative intent, we respond defensively or with resentment, which can create conflict and distance. But when we approach situations with generosity, we foster connection, understanding, and trust. Here's the truth: we all fall short. We all have moments when we forget, get distracted, or fail to show up in the way someone else needed us to. Generosity acknowledges that imperfection is part of being human. It gives us the space to make mistakes without fearing that our relationships will crumble. Generosity transforms relationships because it creates a culture of safety. When someone knows that you'll assume the best about them, they feel freer to be honest, vulnerable, and authentic. They know they won't be judged harshly for a misunderstood, for a moment of weakness. And generosity isn't just about how we treat others, it's also about how we treat ourselves. Many of us are our own harshest critics, quick to label ourselves as failures when we make mistakes. But when we practice generosity inwardly, we give ourselves permission to be imperfect. We learn to treat ourselves with the same compassion we offer to others. Let's look at how generosity plays out in everyday situations. In friendships, generosity means understanding that your friend didn't cancel plans because they don't care about you, but because they're tired or overwhelmed. In partnerships, it means recognizing that your partner's short tone isn't a sign they're angry at you, but a reflection of a stressful day. At work, it means giving a colleague the benefit of the doubt when they miss a deadline, instead of assuming they're unreliable. Generosity transforms these moments because it shifts our mindset from judgment to understanding. It allows us to move through conflict with grace and to give people room to explain, repair, or simply be. Now, let's address a common fear: what if my generosity is taken advantage of? This is an important question, and the answer lies in boundaries. Generosity doesn't mean ignoring patterns of harmful behavior or letting people walk all over you. It's not about excusing repeated violations of trust. True generosity exists alongside healthy boundaries. Generosity is about balance. It's about choosing kindness in the moment while staying grounded in your values and self-respect. If someone repeatedly disregards your trust or takes advantage of your grace, generosity doesn't mean continuing to give. It means stepping back and honoring your own boundaries. One of the most beautiful things about generosity is its ripple effect. When we offer others the benefit of the doubt, it often inspires them to do the same. Generosity creates a culture of trust where everyone feels valued and seen in their best light. It opens the door for deeper connections and stronger relationships because it's rooted in mutual respect and care. So here's the invitation: practice generosity in your relationships. The next time someone falls short, pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, what's the most compassionate explanation for this? Offer them grace, even if they don't fully deserve it. Because here's the truth: generosity isn't just about them, it's about who you want to be. Generosity transforms relationships because it creates space for imperfection, understanding, and growth. It strengthens the foundation of trust and makes room for connection to flourish. The world can be a hard and cynical place, but generosity is an antidote. When we approach our relationships with kindness, compassion, and the willingness to see the best in others, we create a ripple of trust and hope that extends far beyond us. Generosity transforms relationships, and it transforms us. Let's start practicing it today. Let me leave you with this thought: generosity is more than a single act. It's a mindset, a practice, and a choice we make every day. It's the way we hold space for others, even when it's inconvenient. It's the way we offer grace, even when it's undeserved. And it's the way we approach our relationships with open hearts, open minds, and the belief that everyone is doing the best they can with what they have. So as you go back to your families, your friends, your workplaces, and your communities, I encourage you to ask yourself, where can I bring more generosity into my relationships? How can I choose kindness over judgment, compassion over assumption, and grace over resentment? Because when we practice generosity, we don't just transform our relationships, we transform ourselves. And in doing so, we create a ripple effect of trust, connection, and love that extends far beyond us. Thank you for your time, your attention, and your willingness to step into this practice. Let's commit to being generous with others and with ourselves, because generosity truly does transform everything it touches. Thank you.